I'm reading today from Rays of the One Light. Thank you, Sharika. These are weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita, written by Swami Kriyananda and based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. This week's reading is entitled, "The Law is Perfected in Love." Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. In the Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, we read, "The law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ." Grace means the power to rise spiritually. Truth means the experience of divine realities, not the application of them in the outer world of that inner experience. Divine love is the soul's experience of oneness with God. Kindness is the human manifestation of that love. Grace is deeper than mere kindness. Wisdom is a divine experience. Justice to all is a human law, though divinely inspired. It follows as a consequence of the experience of wisdom. Truth goes deeper than mere justice. While following the law, we should strive always to trace it back to its origins in the vision of God. Therefore, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita urges the devotee not to be satisfied with spiritual precepts alone, but to go beyond them to the direct inner experience of truth. In the 18th chapter of that great scripture, he says, "Once more take my last word, my utmost meaning have. Precious thou art to me, right well beloved. Listen, I tell thee this for thy comfort. Give me thy heart. Adore me, serve me, cling in faith and love and reverence to me. So shalt thou come to me. I promise true, for thou art sweet to me. And let go those rights and writ duties. Fly to me alone. Make me thy single refuge. I will free thy soul from all its sins. Be of good cheer." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. As we prepare to celebrate Valentine's Day, I can't think of a better Valentine from God to each one of us than this beautiful reading. And that's the beauty of the scriptures. We have a love letter from God in the scriptures to each one of us. We just need to remember to open the love letter. If your beloved sends you something and you just go, "Oh yeah, I'll read that later," just put it on your desk and it gets buried. Does that happen? No. I want to know right away. What are they saying? What are they feeling? What did they tell me? And if we approach the scriptures that way, we will find the answers to everything that we're looking for. If we're having trouble with someone, how do I respond? What do I say? How do I cope with this? Open the scriptures. Pray and ask for guidance. I can't tell you how many times something's been troubling me. I can't sleep. I get up. I go, "Okay, Master, you've got to talk to me about this." And I open his words, and it's right there. What I need to do, how I need to approach it, what I need to say. It's all there. If you've listened to Dharmadas's incredible science sermons sometimes. I love them. I love having science corroborate everything that we know in the yoga teachings. It's thrilling to me. We know that at the heart of every atom is silence, stillness. That's God's presence. It's not as though God is out there and we're here and we have to get there. It's not like that. God is here. He's always hearing everything we say, everything we think, everything we feel. He's with us in it. He's not outside of us. Self-realization is the knowing in every part of body, mind, and soul that we are now in the presence of God. We need not pray that He come to us. We only need to improve our knowing. Those are Yogananda's words. We need to improve our knowing. And we need to increase our faith in that knowing. God is not ready to, He's not like writing down everything and saying, okay, one more mistake, boy, and I'm really going to let her have it, you know. It's not like that. God is on our side. He's rooting for us. And we need to understand that everything that happens, the physical, the mental, the grieving, the finances, the relationships, all of it, whatever is happening right now is for our greater good. That's hard. That's really hard. All the things that we worry about, I saw this on Amazon and I couldn't resist. It's a little plaque that says, worry about nothing. Pray about everything. St. Paul. That's how we need to live in this world. We could be thinking about the devastation in Turkey, the conflict in the Ukraine, the Middle Eastern problems, all the climate. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. We can worry about everything if we want to, and we can spend all of our lives worrying about it until we die. Instead, we can pray, and we can live in the light. If we live in the light, we do more for this world than if we hole up in our little dark basement worrying about everything. I love what Anandamoy Ma said when she was asked about all the problems that are happening in the world. She said simply, He who made the world, don't you think He knows how to take care of it? We need to trust in that, and trust that God is not keeping score. Like this beautiful reading says today, I will take away all your sins. Just love me. I was reading a passage in Jeremiah yesterday in the Bible, and it was saying, if you love me with your whole heart, I will come to you. And that's from long, long ago. It's still happening today. God is there. He's just waiting for us to turn to Him and ask Him for help. There's another beautiful passage in Jeremiah where God is saying to the devotee, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. God is not keeping score and ready to clap us into hell. That, as Swami says, that's merely a projection of man's own vindictiveness. That's not God. God is love. I was thinking of my dear friend who's passed away now, Devi Mukherjee, and he wrote that beautiful book with a little help from Durga and Swami, Shaped by Saints. And he talked about the encounters with saints that he had had in his life and how it had shaped his life. And he talked about an encounter with a saint up in a remote, hidden place in the Himalayas. And there were two little huts there, one for the saint that he lived in and one for visitors. And he received Devi Mukherjee and hosted him. And then he said, as he was getting ready to retire for the night, he said to Devi, now, you're going to hear some sounds around midnight, and you're going to look out the window, and you're going to want to come outside. But I'm telling you, you cannot go outside. Just resist going outside. Well, Devi was totally intrigued. He stayed up, waiting till midnight, waiting for the sounds, and he heard them. They were growls, deep growls coming from tigers. And as they approached, he saw in the little clearing before the huts, he saw that the saint had heard them too, and the saint opened the door, walked out, and started petting the tigers. And they would roll over and just let him pet their stomachs like a little kitty would. And yes, Davy wanted to go out there. He wanted to pet the tigers too. But he remembered what the saint said. He didn't go out there, but he watched in awe as the saint played with the tigers. And one of them had brought the saint a dead rabbit. And the saint scolded him. What? You know I don't want that. I'm a vegetarian. And this tiger slunk away with this rabbit. But that was the play, the joy, the love between these tigers and the saint. And then reluctantly, the tigers went away, the saint went to sleep, and Davy went back to bed. But early in the morning, he got up and, why couldn't I come out? Why wouldn't I be allowed to pet the tigers? And the saint told him, I'm sorry, but to pet the tigers, you have to be 100% love. And you're around 67%. We need to become 100% love. And we need to trust in God. We need to grow our faith. I was thinking about a beautiful Sanskrit chant that we often do. It's a tongue twister, though. It's Anandam, Anandam. You know, it's too many words to even go into. But one of the lines, the translation of it is that life is always unsteady and uncertain, like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. And that's, our lives can be perfectly wonderful, and within hours it can all go to smithereens. It can be the depths of desperation, and suddenly it's all fine again. It's all very uncertain. But God is our security. If we put our faith in him, we will be secure. Someone asked Yogananda, what are the assets of this institution? And Yogananda said, only God. God is our stocks and bonds. And that is where the haven lies. That chant also says, even a moment in the company of a saint can be your raft across the ocean of delusion. Spend your time with the saints, our masters, the saints of all paths, and the scriptures. Don't forget that love letter that's waiting for you.
Do you want to read this?
Okay. Is anybody wedded to their phone like I am? I'm even bringing it up here to give my Sunday service talk. But I did want to read this. I got it. We recently came across a chapter in a book that we didn't know Master had written. So I was just thrilled to find this quotation of Master talking about Brother Lawrence, who many of you know I love Brother Lawrence. And Brother Lawrence had his first spiritual experience, I think I told this story a few weeks ago, looking at a barren tree in wintertime. And he just saw this empty, barren tree against a gray sky. And he had a spiritual experience because he remembered and felt, yes, this tree is barren now. It's empty, lifeless. But soon it will bear leaves and then flowers and then fruit in abundance. And he felt it. He was so awe-stricken by that incredible miracle that he said in his later years, that experience never left him. And so Master is referring to this. Brother Lawrence, the 17th century Christian mystic, tells us his first glimpse of God realization came about by viewing a tree. Nearly all human beings have seen a tree. Few, alas, have thereby seen the tree's creator. Most men are utterly incapable of summoning those irresistible powers of devotion that are effortlessly possessed only by a few single-hearted saints found in all religious paths, whether of east or west. Yet the ordinary man is not shut out from the possibility of divine communion. He needs for divine recollection no more than the Kriya Yoga technique, a daily observance of the moral precepts, and an ability to cry sincerely, Lord, I yearn to know thee.
This topic, touching on security matched up with love as the perfection of the law, or the law is perfected in love. Swamiji, in some of the writings that surround these readings, went very profoundly into the sort of the trajectory of spirituality in the history of the world. And he was talking about how Christ came in order to give people a chance to recognize that there is a higher law than the law, that there's a higher law than just the don't do this and do that sort of level of instruction. And if you think about it, and I know I thought about it a lot as a kid, were any of you ever tired of school growing up? I mean, it's like one of the great reasons not to reincarnate is just to not have to go to high school again, as a freshman especially. You know, I remember graduating from 8th grade and feeling like I was on the top of the world because I knew that school inside out and backwards. And then I got to high school and it was like, freshman, you know, you little runts. I mean, and you didn't know anything, didn't know where the classrooms were, didn't know how to get, didn't know which rules you could bend, which rules you could break, you know. I mean, I sort of had junior high school wrapped around my little finger, but I got to high school and it was like, ay, 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 ay. Well, school teaches us how to think. It tests our ability to use our minds, to learn how to learn, etc. It's all good things on one level, but it doesn't give us a life. It doesn't give us the joy. I mean, I don't know about you, but I did not get up in the morning in order to go to school. I got up in the morning, I mean, as a little kid, I got up at 5 or 6 in the morning. I think it drove my parents wild. It was just an instinct. It was just the enthusiasm for growth, for playing, for, you know, watching the cartoons on the television set, whatever. I mean, there's something to do. Let's get up, let's get to it here. School did not hit that radar screen. I was good in school. It wasn't that I was lousy, but that was not the purpose. Well, that's kind of the law in a sense. The law says, look, you really just don't want to do this. This is just bad juju. Don't go here. Don't kill people. Don't steal stuff. Don't lie to people. You know, it's basic stuff. Some people, I mean, an amazing number of people, if you read the news, just don't believe that stuff. You know, they just think, oh, it applies to everybody else. You know, there's no such thing as karma. Even in India, where karma was basically invented, it seems like, people just think, oh, well, I can get away with it. And you know, in other words, the rewards of whatever evil they're about to do are far in excess of whatever debt they're going to have to pay as a result. Wrong. So if you're on that level where that kind of instruction is the important step in life, then you have to pay attention to the rules. You have to learn what they are and why. Go through the steps, deal with it, and move on. But Christ came along to say, guys, there's something higher. And it's contained in the passage that Nirmala read. I mean, both passages really, what Yogananda said and also the Bhagavad Gita reading. Fly to me. I just love that. Fly to me. I mean, it's like just grab on. You know, you read Autobiography of a Yogi, and there are countless stories. And Sri Yukteswar, pictured here next to Yogananda, sort of the embodiment of wisdom, the embodiment of stern discipline in many ways, especially with Yogananda, because he had a serious job to do training Yogananda to come to the West. But you read stories of Sri Yukteswar, and so there's a story of one of the disciples. Sri Yukteswar had advised him, get 3 sapphires. I want you to wear these things. I want you to wear these stones for an astrological purpose to mitigate karma that's coming your way. Just do it. So what does the guy do? Nothing. He doesn't do it. Of course he doesn't do it. Why would he do it? I mean, it's like the guru says it. No, I'm not going to do it. I mean, and Sri Yukteswar even predicted, you will come back to me. You know, riddled with disease, and sure enough, the guy comes back, he's got the sapphires, and Sri Yukteswar looks at him, he says, well, it's too late now. You should have done it when I told you to do it. So what does the guy do? He grabs Sri Yukteswar's feet, and he holds them for like an hour. I mean, Sri Yukteswar held out on him for a while. All right, go away. You're going to be healed. It'll be fine. Just get out of my sight. But that's, in a sense, what we have to do. We've all screwed up in one way or another. Gee, guess what? We wouldn't be here otherwise. We're learning the lessons in the school. We're going through the karma, etc. But that passage gives the key. You fly to the Lord. You just grab onto the feet, the ankles, whatever you can hang on to. And yeah, it may take a while. You know, he may test. He may say, how long are you going to hold on? You're going to stick with this for a while? And then at a certain point, it's like, okay. We had a funny experience of this years ago. I was a serious, a ridiculously serious volleyball player in my day. They nicknamed me the Spiking Viking. And anyway, we played in a league in Nevada City. So a team from Ananda would come to town, and we played in a league. And the league was comprised of 3 levels: the A level, the B level, the C level. C level was beginners who didn't really know the game, who were just getting started, and it was very easy and etc. B level was intermediate, players who knew the game and a little bit of strategy, but not super skilled. A level was the top level, and this was really competitive volleyball while we were on the A level. And came the tournament day, the last day of the season, and we were 1 player short. We only had 5. You have to have 6. And we didn't know what to do. And there was a fellow that we knew who, he was very athletic. He looked like a volleyball player. I mean, he really was tall, 6'2", 6'3", well-built, athletic, friend of ours. We thought, all right, let's just try it. We brought him into the tournament. Well, it doesn't take long before the opposition picks out the weak spot, and this guy was the weak spot. And I mean, it was brutal. It was murder. They'd murdered him. I mean, they served him every single time, and the ball went pinging off to the side. I mean, it was brutal. We did not win that tournament, needless to say. Afterwards was the interesting thing, because we were very apologetic, and he was like, you're apologizing to me? I'm apologizing to you. I was a disaster out there. And we thought, all right, this is going to be interesting to watch, because he's a very proud person, real good, strong ego in him. He said, you guys lit a fire under me. So what did he do? He went home. He owned property near Ananda. He spent thousands of dollars creating an outdoor volleyball court so that we could all play at lunchtime, so that he could get better at volleyball. Now, this is a ridiculous analogy in a sense to the spiritual, but in a way, all of us have been the guy who got brought into the level that they didn't belong and got smeared, got hit with volleyballs all day long till we realized, I'm not at this level. This is really intimidating. But I love the spirit where he just said, well, then I'm just going to go home and I'm going to do something about it and get better at it. And in a way, that's like the bridge between the law and the love. Because at a certain point, it ignites. And we just say, I'm going to turn this into an art form. It may be miserable and challenging for a while here, but at a certain point, I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to give it everything I've got and turn it into its potential. Now, he didn't, just to finish the story, he never really became an A-League player, but still, we had a lot of fun playing on his court because it was under the trees, or in trees, so it was a little bit shaded, which was fabulous because the sun in the summer up there in Nevada City is pretty hot. But just the spirit of being willing to put out that kind of energy. Saints are inconvenient. This is one of the points that Swamiji made in this reading, that they come and they tell us things we don't want to hear, or are not prepared to adapt to or to deal with. And religion, in a sense, is always a little bit of a compromise between the vision of the saint and the need to create some degree of organization. You know, here I am saying this on the day that we have a lemon festival happening after Sunday service, which is a little bit of a fundraiser. You know, it's not a huge big deal, but it helps to fund the operation of the church, etc. And there's always a little bit of compromise in spirituality between just that vision of going off and realizing spirit, having a divine experience, and the need to sort of organize it. There's this sort of ridiculous comic that I saw, I think, or heard of. The main devil and one of his main lieutenants are talking, and they're observing this scene where there's a guy who's about to be enlightened, about to have a divine experience, and the lieutenant is saying, you got to do something about this guy. This is not good, you know. He's about to have a divine experience. The devil says, nah, it'll be okay. Well, sure enough, in the next frame, he has, you know, he's enlightened, he has the divine experience. And the guy's like, you didn't do anything. I mean, come on. He says, in the next frame, he says, I'm going to help him organize it. And that's where the trouble comes in. You start organizing the spiritual experience into a religion, okay, now we have trouble. Now we have a problem. Well, here we have Ananda, which is an organization, yes, and it's about as unorganized of an organization as you can have on one level. But the point is to enjoy the connection. And Swami, in one of these readings related to this topic today, was talking about how choose wisely whether you're able and ready to go off on your own. You know, this is in a way reference to the saying, the apocryphal saying, it's a blessing to be born into a religion, but a misfortune to die in one, which is an interesting and a little bit challenging thing to say on one level. But I mean, that's the idea is the law is perfected in love. Start with the structure, start with the law, start with the organization, and then get to the point where you have flown to the divine so completely that there's nothing left. And then organization, schmorganization, organization or no organization, it doesn't matter at that point. You're not bound by the structure. You're not bound by the rules anymore because you've transcended them. And you obey them automatically because that's what the law does. That's what love does. It's so completely in tune with the law. It's like, of course I'm going to do that. I'm not going to get myself tangled up in doing the wrong thing. But that blessing that the saints bring to us can be ours. Just as Nirmala was saying, fly to that divine. Tune into the saints, live with the saints, follow their energy and their blessings, read the scriptures, yes, but also realize that you yourself are a living, walking, breathing scripture. So we'll take an offering and then have some music.